why must or should the Orange County and SoCal Theater and anybody around the country attend the Pacific Playwright Festival at South Coast Repertory now?
I think that folks should attend the Pacific Playwrights Festival because I think that they'll have a really good time. It's a very celebratory atmosphere. It's a really sort of exciting endeavor. Um, I think that a lot of people aren't sure about attending staged readings because, it's music stands and people reading scripts. Um, and my answer to that would be, you have no idea how much fun you can have when you can let your imagination run wild and just see what this play might look like in three dimensions in your mind's eye. And so I encourage you to just try it out because it is usually a lot more fun than than you think it would be. Um, and I would encourage people to, I would say that people should come to the festival because it's there's nothing like the sort of exhausting experience of seeing seven plays in a row. It really does challenge you. It asks a lot of you to come and see that much theater all at once. But I think that when you leave the experience, you really feel full. You feel very tired, but you feel very full, and you have a lot spinning around in your head, and it's an incredibly kind of satisfying exhaustion. Um, and then I would say that the reason people must come to the Pacific Playwrights Festival is because now more than ever we need people to support live theater and to keep it alive and to keep it vibrant. Hi, my name is Andy Knight. I am the director of the lab at SCR at South Coast Repertory, and I want to invite you to come to the Pacific Playwrights Festival May 3rd through 5th at South Coast Repertory. It's a wonderful weekend of new plays, both in stage reading formats and full productions. And if you want to know more about PPF, listen to this interview.
Tell us about the 2024 Pacific Playwrights Festival, the playwrights, the readings, and the full world premieres.
Yeah, so Pacific Playwrights Festival in 2024 features seven new works, two full productions, and then five staged readings. I'll start with the two full productions. The first is Prelude to a Kiss, the musical, with a book by Craig Lucas, music by Daniel Massey, and then lyrics by Daniel Massey and Sean Hartley. It is an adaptation of Craig Lucas's 1988 play of the same name that premiered at South Coast Repertory back in the day, and then went on to great success on Broadway. It was a finalist for the Pulitzer, and it's performed regionally and just across the country, and has really become sort of a modern American classic. So in PPF, there is now a musical adaptation of that play. That is although it is based on the play, it is a new piece. It is a contemporary piece as opposed to a piece that was set in 1988, like the original play was. And it's a really sort of beautiful, sweeping, lush, very funny, but still slightly risky and dark musical that audiences really seem to be responding to. That's on our Segerstrom stage. And then on our Argyros stage is a play called Galilee 34 by Eleanor Burgess. That is a play that is set in 34 AD, about a year after the death of Jesus, and it follows Jesus's disciples and those close to him as they sort through what to do next and how to spread his message and what spreading his message really means, and what fundamentally his message is. It's a wonderful play that certainly looks at the history behind theology, but ultimately it is a sharp and very, very funny and moving comedy about people. It is really about a family. It is a family story. It is deeply based in character. And Eleanor, her writing is so sort of insightful, thoroughly and deeply researched, but at the same time, so sort of achingly real, and so sort of like urgent for an audience despite it being a period piece. So that's on our Ardro stage. So those are the two productions. And then the five staged readings The first is a play called Meeting for Worship by Ana Nogueira, and that's directed by Mike Donahue. And that is a play that is set in a Quaker high school in 2003. And it looks at what happens when within the school an event occurs, and an event that has some very serious fallout, and how the fabric of the school is really tested because of it. It is a pretty expansive reading. It is a cast of 19 actors, so it's a really large group of people on that stage, and that's also an SCR commission. Second reading is a play called The Brothers Play by Arya Shahi, and that's directed by Knud Adams. Uh, that play is a much more intimate look at the relationship between two brothers, and then to an extent their family as well, as one of the brothers returns back to Tucson, Arizona, where the two brothers grew up, in the face of an event that occurred to him, and how they figure out and try to sort of plan a path forward. Um, and then that evening, we have a reading, and this is a reading that's in one of our smaller spaces, so it plays throughout the weekend. A reading of a play called "You Are Cordially Invited to the End of the World" by Keiko Green, and that's directed by Zai Alakan. Um, and that tells the story of a man who is diagnosed with a terminal illness, and how he decides to live the rest of his life, and how he tries to understand what his mortality means. Keiko's play is really a kind of a celebration of existence, and a celebration of the theater. And so while it seems like it tells a dramatic story, which it does, it certainly is a story with depth and stakes. It is really sort of a celebration. It's an event. It's a piece of event theater. So we're very excited to share that with audiences. And then on Saturday morning, we have a reading of a play called Fremont Ave by Reggie D. White, and that is directed by Taylor Reynolds. And that tells a story of a family. It begins with a man buying a house in suburban Southern California in the 1960s. Um, and then he meets someone and they fall in love. And it is a story of a family across three generations, all living in that house. And it is this sort of wonderful, deeply nuanced look at people and relationships within a family, and all those dynamics, and all the love that's there, but at the same time, all the all the pain and all the hardship that comes with loving people. And so it sort of tells this beautiful multi-generational story. And then the final reading is a play called An Oxford Man by Else Went, directed by Emma Rosa Went. And it tells the story of Lawrence Michael Dillon, who was a transgender pioneer, a real life person who started working with hormone therapy back in the first part of the 20th century. Else is a stupendous writer, so imaginative, so creative. It's really a sort of a kaleidoscopic play, that's told in so many different ways. At times, it's like Oscar Wilde. At times, it's this wonderful Bildungsroman that's almost like a fairy tale. At times, it's very intimate and sincere. And so it's really going to take audiences on a journey. So it's a very exciting way to end the festival. I would say that overall, it is a presents a wide range of plays. No two plays are really like in how they share their stories with the world, and also what the content of their stories is. So on Sunday morning at 9 a.m., we have a playwrights panel that will be on our Segerstrom stage. And we will have most, if not all, of the playwrights who are involved in the festival on that panel, and that will be moderated by SCR's Artistic and Engagement Associate H. Adam Harris. And so the playwrights will all talk a little bit about the inspiration behind their plays, their process, what it has meant to go through PPF, and what they learned during that process. And then we'll of course also leave some time for audience questions too.
What do you want the theater participants to get out of the Pacific Playwrights Festival, both the local community and also the theater pros who attend?
Yeah, first of all, honestly, I would love for them to have fun and have a good time and to see some good theater. I think that's really the heart of the festival, from an audience standpoint. Part of how we hope to program the festival is you're not going to see two things that are really alike. We want you to have a wide-ranging experience. Um, for our local audiences, Orange County audiences here, I hope that it invites them to be part of the new play process with South Coast Repertory to share what excited them and what resonated with them, both within the plays and also within the festival experience overall, and then also to share, their questions, the things that they weren't sure about, because it's always wonderful to essentially be able to provide sort of through some of these readings like a sneak peek of what might come on our stages at a future time. And then for the industry professionals, once again, first and foremost, we want them to have a great time and to see some great theater. But we also hope to introduce them to some new writers that they might know, some writers they will know, and also to introduce them to some new plays that might excite them and they might want to bring to their theaters.
Talk about how both the world premieres actually were readings at one time. So just tell me about that process and how exciting that you're seeing a full production of it.
Yeah, that's this year's a really good example of sort of how the trajectory of plays in PPF can be very different. So, Prelude to a Kiss is a piece that South Coast Repertory commissioned. The musical adaptation is something that we commissioned, gosh, back in something like 2016, about 8 years ago now. And then we first read it. We did a concert reading in the Pacific Playwrights Festival in 2019. I can say that at that time the bones of the musical were there. A lot of the stuff that has ended up in the final version of the musical was there, but some of the stuff that's in the musical now wasn't there. They were still very actively working on building the musical at that time, and so it prevented a little bit more of a sneak peek of what the musical could potentially be in 2019. And then out of that, we continued to develop the piece through a series of workshops over the years. Some of that was stymied by the pandemic. We would have produced this musical sooner than 2024, had the pandemic not occurred. And then even as we came through the pandemic and we're meeting in person again and producing again, there were, a few workshops that were canceled or postponed because of COVID. So it's a big group. A musical takes a lot of people to build, and so you're going to have to gather all those people in a room, and you're going to have to bring all those people together. So, but it's still a good example of a play that comes through the festival as a reading into full production is not always an immediate thing. It can take years. It depends on a variety of things, what the artists are up to in terms of what their schedules are like, what South Coast Repertory has on its stages, the further development in between. All of those factors have a bearing on when something ends up on SCR stages. But Galilee's sort of the opposite of that. So Galilee, we read in the 2023 Pacific Playwrights Festival. So pretty much right around a year ago now, was when we heard the play out loud for the first time, and we were just so enchanted by the piece coming through the festival, and so excited by the kind of galvanized audience response to it, that we knew that we had this slot in our season this year, and that Galilee felt like the perfect fit for it. So that play has had a subsequent workshop after PPF. We did a workshop in the early winter in January of this year. And so which gave Eleanor and the director Davis McCallum time to work on the piece and to continue developing it from a writing standpoint, but to also meet with the designers and to start thinking about what this play is going to look like in 3 dimensions. And then here we are in rehearsal and tech rehearsal now. So that had a pretty quick journey from festival to production. I will say that we have some great casts this year. We have some wonderful, wonderful actors in Prelude to a Kiss from all over the country who do quite a bit of musical theater across the country. Many of them do work on and off Broadway in New York. Our cast of Galilee 34 is also stupendous. It's a great group of actors from both New York and LA. Amy Brenneman, who many audiences know, is playing Miriam in our production of Galilee 34, and she's absolutely wonderful. And then our PPF casts are going to be really, really exciting too. It is probably, I don't know if ever is the correct word, but it is one of the largest sort of groups of actors that we've had in the Pacific Playwrights Festival in a long, long time. Because we've got some plays that have a large scope, and so it's a really exciting group of actors, and there are going to be a lot of talented performers on campus here.
Well, add on to that, whether they come to the festival or one of the SCR plays, why is live theater so good for the soul?
Live theater is so good for the soul because I think the live experience means that you're also in community. And I think that being in community is more important than ever now for a variety of reasons. Certainly the pandemic, but even less than that, I think that we're fairly fractured as a society right now. And so to sit next to someone that you don't know what their experience is, you don't know what they're thinking about, you don't know how they're going to acclimate to the play, and to experience something shared together is really more important than ever. And that's why live theater is so important to the soul. My name is Andy Knight. I'm the director of the lab at SCR at South Coast Repertory, and I want to invite you to come to the Pacific Playwrights Festival May 3rd through 5th at South Coast Repertory. It's a wonderful weekend of new plays, both in stage reading formats and full productions. It is a place to celebrate new theater. It is a place to celebrate new American playwriting. It is a place to see what artists are thinking about today and what will happen next on the stages of the American theater. So I encourage you to come and be one of the people that sees it first.